especially for Nigerians. So I think it's worthy of congratulating you guys, right? Congratulations there, because you've made it to the end of this year. In spite of all, you're alive and kicking. So please, I beg, just take one beer for your own head, because you try well for yourself. Well done. Lagos, my name is Precious and you're welcome to the show. And now this is where Nigeria's finest conversation takes place every evening. Here we dissect topical conversations that has been making the round, and we'll break them down with expert analysis to your understanding. All right, amazing. So this evening on the show, a lot of us Nigerians, and that's why we'll be looking at the year economically in retrospect. What other way can we end the year with, by the way? My name is Precious and I'm your host for the show today, but you know that I won't do that without going straight on to tell you a bit of the hot topics that we have for you this evening. So because we're looking at the economy this evening on the hot topic 2025, Nigeria survived 2024 only by God's grace. IPAC says, hey, that is, if not be God, if for hard for Nigeria to survive. And then Madam Hardship-Edu says 2025 will usher in full restoration of hardship. Trials of 2024, says Hardship-Edu. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Prioritize welfare, well-being of citizens in 2025. NLC urges government. And then in the midst of all of this, we hear that when we look at the 2025 in our budget, the presidency and the government, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is to spend 8.6 billion naira only to overhaul presidential air fleet engines, including the new one. Some will ask. Okay, moving on. Yeah, we'll look at Nigeria economic outlook in 2024 and what the prospects is like in 2025. Buhari is not visionary, but Babafemi Ojojo says so. And meanwhile, Joe Ibukwe answers and says Buhari laid solid foundation for Tinubu. And that's part of the economic indices we'll be looking at. Those solid foundation that Buhari laid down for Tinubu. Lagos. These are the hot topics that we have this evening. Let's take a quick breather. When we return, we'll begin to dissect these and other issues after the break. This is 90.3 Voice of the People FM. You're welcome.
News on the streets. We go to bed empty hunger.
To the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and pressure for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things and makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
right, Legacy, welcome back. This is 90.3 Voice of the People FM. So just before we delve down into the conversation, let's just look at some of these conversations one at a time. So let's begin with what Ujudu said. So a former presidential special advisor on political matters, Babafemi Ujudu, has disclosed why ex-President Muhammadu Buhari never backed former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo's bid to be president. Ujudu disclosed that Buhari didn't back Osinbajo's presidential ambition because he was not visionary. That is, I know they see that you don't get foresight. Do you understand? So he, however, described Buhari as a patriot and an incorruptible leader, but said that Nigeria means having another Awolowo rule us. Quoting him, he says, but coming up in close, I didn't see much of vision in him. Well, he did say all of this, but then he's gotten a reaction. As the chieftain of All Progressives Congress, APC, Joe Igbokoe, has said former President Muhammadu Buhari laid solid foundation for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to build on. You understand? Solid foundation. Now, Igbokoe said Nigerians should ignore the claims that Buhari was a failure because his footprints and gains are visible for all to see. That is, the gains and the good things he has done are visible for all to see. Yes, so he said, let nobody living or dead run away with the thinking that PMB is a failure. Perish the thoughts. He laid the foundation, or the solid foundation, for PBAT to build on. We are seeing the footprints and the gains today. This is coming when former presidents... so that's it. Okay, so joining me in the studio is Mr. Segun Shokpeton. Mr. Segun Shokpeton is one of the finest financial analysts you would ever have in Nigeria. Good evening, Mr. Segun. Thank you so much for obliging me. I called you in such a short notice, and you obliged small me. You make me feel taller.
Yeah, you're a giant.
If you know, you know, right? Only those who know can know. That one pay me. Say you're a giant. Enter. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. My next word, I'll do better.
I meant that as a compliment.
I took
giant in so many other ways.
And I took it as a compliment.
The one you are
and I am a Goliath in my head. Thank you so much, Mr. Segun. So I like us to begin, this year economic in retrospect with looking at the words by the former what was in Joe Igbokoe now, saying that, emphasizing that former President Buhari laid a solid foundation that is visible to us to see that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently riding on. I'd like you to help us break that down so that Nigerians will understand, whilst we try to retrospect on our economy this year. What you're laughing? Is it griming or laughing? It's okay.
I'm laughing because I'm trying to make sense out of, as you were talking, I was just, my brain was racing because I was looking for the foundation that he was talking about. I was thinking about the different,
like we were looking for airport somewhere in Abia State.
Like what foundation? Because I was thinking about all the different indicators that you would look at, and how those indicators could have been positioned to ensure that the next president or the next leader of the country can then begin to build. And I just can't, I don't understand what Joe Igbokoe is talking about. I think he's living in La La Land. What foundation? Look, President Muhammadu Buhari, whatever his perceived strengths might have been in the eyes of those that supported him in 2015, has turned out to be quite a failure. There's just no other way to put it. He was a failure. You may want to qualify that and say maybe not an unmitigated failure. In other words, you may be able to find one or two things that you can point to and say, well, he succeeded at this, he succeeded at that. But all round, if you just look around the basic things that would define, the leadership legacy of a president, the man did not do well at all. So what foundation exactly is Joe Igbokoe talking about? Is he talking about, for example, the ways and means of 23 trillion naira that
that money grew to almost 28 trillion at some point. You remember, right? I just want to be sure that we're on the same space.
Because, after President Tinubu came on board, it continued to grow for a while. So President Tinubu continued. So yeah, that's a foundation. if you want to be sarcastic.
But the President Tinubu has said that he has paid off all the ways and means that was borrowed by.
That's with all due respect to.
I thought the money was turned to our national debt.
A lie.
So our president lied to us.
With all due respect to President Tinubu.
Oh wow.
Let me rephrase that. It's an untruth. It's not true. So nobody will say I'm saying that my elders are lying. It's not true. What happened was part of it was paid, for sure. I think about 4 trillion or thereabouts. I've analyzed the numbers.
Out of 28 trillion,
Yes.
4 trillion
The
was
rest,
paid.
yes, the
and we
rest-
give ourselves a pat at the back.
The rest was securitized, was basically converted to long-term debt.
That is what I'm saying now.
So we haven't paid it. We only restructured it so that it will not be a burden. So it will not be something that you need to pay off now. Because under the law, we are supposed to pay off every dime of that 28 trillion naira. That's the law under the Fiscal Responsibility Act and the CBN Act. So, but instead of doing that, they securitized it, which in itself is illegal. But that said, so if a president cannot say that they paid that off. But anyway, the point I was making is that President Muhammadu Buhari, I'm not sure what foundation that Joe Igbokwe is talking about. The economy was left on its knees. We were in a terrible debt crisis, paying off using 110% of government revenues to pay off debt service obligation. That is, in other words, the government was insolvent. We're bankrupt as a country. That's how President Buhari left us. Power supply was in shambles. I mean, just look around you. The only thing that I can say with a clear conscience that President Muhammadu Buhari did, and that you can say, well, he did well here, where was infrastructure. Was him finishing the second Niger? Was him finishing Lagos Ibadan? Was him finishing and ensuring that Kaduna, Abuja?
No, second Niger Bridge is still not in use. I beg your pardon, sir.
Really?
Yes, you can ask people traveling. I think from
Well,
Nigerians can. They're listening. They can't tell us.
can tell us.
We hear that. Yes.
But
So for the much we know, the second
that
that
I've always had.
aspect of the road is
Yes,
still not in
I
use.
see. The understanding that I had was that he had finished that at least, and he handed and it's in use. So correct me if I'm wrong. Lagos Ibadan is in use. The Lagos Ibadan rail line is in use. Abuja to Kaduna is in use. So you can point Warri to Itakpe. Rail line is in use. So you can point to a few infrastructure projects that have actually been impactful, and say, well, he did well here. But it's way, way, way too little, out of an ocean of problems that the country has. And I've always said that the way to judge, the term of a president is to look at the legacy he left behind. All of our presidents, from independence till date, civilian presidents, failed woefully. Some of our military leaders succeeded because of infrastructure investment, but most of them also failed. President Olusegun Obasanjo is the only one that I can look at and say, much as I don't necessarily care for the man and his style, but you see that GSM thing that he did, just that one thing, is a legacy nobody can take away from him. And that's all we need from our president. Pick one particular area, fix it for good. The president that will come into this country and fix power for good. You've laid foundation. So I don't know what Mr. Joe Igbokwe is talking about. President Buhari left the country on its knees.
But you know that they said that he was master of infrastructure. They spent a lot of funds on infrastructure, and that's what he focused on.
Well, yeah.
So is that not enough?
It's absolutely certainly not enough, because the infrastructure itself, was not. I mean, he could have done way more. He didn't do enough there in that alone. And infrastructure on its own is not enough. The country has simply too many problems for you to just say, oh, he did well in infrastructure. What about the other areas?
All right.
What about employment? And all of that. It was a failure. So I don't think that you can say that was a foundation for this president to then build on.
Okay.
I think this president needed to come on board and start afresh and clean up the audience stables.
All right, but he did say he would continue from where Buhari started.
Yeah, politics.
Okay, all right. But is that enough for the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, to say that Nigerians survived the year 2024 just by the sheer grace of God? Because that's what they said, and it's...
I wouldn't disagree with them, and I don't think any Nigerian that is listening will disagree. I think we all know that we're here just simply by the grace of God. Today is the 31st of December. I think it's God that has kept us. You know, if you look at where we were in January, 1st of January, if you look at the different indicators, and then you look at where those indicators are today, you will know that if you are still here and you are still driving your car and you are still going out, you know, to do your business and nothing has changed significantly for you, that's God. It's pretty much a miracle. You are just privileged. Majority of Nigerians are just barely surviving. They're just here. They're only just here. They're not thriving. They're not living. They're just existing because of how difficult a year it has been. And I can reel out the numbers, you know, where we were in January and where we are now.
Please do so.
I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so for example, who would have thought that as at December 31, 2023, exchange rate was 940, 950 naira, you know, black market, parallel market, and I think somewhere around 750 official rates. Just
that was after he moved. That was
year.
after he left 740 something.
Yes.
From the inception of this administration in May last year.
Inception of this administration, official rate was 460 thereabouts.
Yes,
and parallel market was 750. You know, and then, you know, we said we're going to try to merge, unify, and all of those funny, fancy words that they use, and everything just scattered. But even after everything scattered in 2023, we ended 2024 at about 990 parallel.
So why did you lose it?
Because the policies of this administration have simply not been adequate to provide the environment that would achieve what they were trying to achieve. You want to float your currency, leave it to the market forces to determine. That's okay. But there are certain policies that must follow in order for that to work. If you don't implement those policies, relaxing your exchange control policies, finding a way to bring in liquidity, remittances into the economy in very large volumes, billions, tens of billions of dollars, then what will happen is that the exchange rate will collapse because you freed it to market forces, but supply is inadequate.
But the government said that we attracted how many billion in dollars in revenue? The president said it himself with his own mouth.
Where is it? Where's the money?
Are you saying that it may not be correct or that's an incorrect statement?
I'm not going to say he lied again. So... Precious, you are trying to put me in trouble.
No, I'm not putting you in trouble, sir. I just want us because these are statements.
I will not say he lied again, but look, these are things that you can see and feel and touch literally. If we attracted investment, exchange rate today will not be 1,600, you know, official, or 1,550 official, and 1,650 parallel market. It won't be. If we attracted investment, if we attracted inflows, foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, remittances, you know, and a number of other trickling inflows that would affect liquidity in the market, that would affect supply. So what is the president talking about? Where is it? All those things, you know, do you know what the president did?
No.
He counted the promises. All the deals that they promised from Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, you know,
India,
the
Maersk, the one that makes the not was not sure that Maersk was not sure that if they were sleeping when it happened.
I don't think it's us they are talking about, you know, and all of that. Those things, they added it up, and the president reeled those promised investment out as inflows, as FDIs. They are not. FDI means foreign direct investments.
That is investment on the ground.
He don't direct. He don't
employ Nigerians. He don't enter. They work for our economy.
FDI. So the president cannot be counting promises, investment, memorandum of understanding, and say that's FDI. We're just deceiving ourselves, you know. So politicians tend to do that because they want to paint a positive picture about our own job as analysts and as economists. You know, is just to be logical about what's in front of us. There is no investment that has flown in enough of, you know, coming enough to stabilize the currency, and that's why we saw that collapse from 990 or 950, 940 range
to almost 2,000 at some point.
At almost we in the parallel market we hit 1,009.
Yes,
you know.
And I was telling my people, God forbid, when they were telling me that it will reach 2,000, I told them, God forbid. And my God forbid helped.
Yes, your God forbid helped us just to bring it back. They didn't drag it back. So,
all right, but do you think that that's enough? Because a lot of Nigerians who try to send direct remittances or foreign remittances are saying that they can no longer send in hard currency.
Yeah.
They have to send in naira. Do you think that the government deliberately, did it in such a way where they would have to convert each money from the onset? And would that help?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm a bit. I don't think
so. That will reduce the solid dollar cash that Nigerians would have.
Yes, and I think because what that will do, bring in the dollars into the official market and release naira to Nigerians to spend. The dollars will flow into the country. The IMTOs will receive it in their account
and they give you naira value.
They will not give you naira. So, but that dollar will be available in their account with the CBN.
So we have more. We have enough dollar.
So that dollar will now be circulated within the official window. So that's what we thought that the CBN will focus their energies on. Look, $20 to $25 billion come into Nigeria every year from diasporans. Diaspora remittances, 20 to 25 billion. Put that in perspective. Our sales from oil, our forex revenues every year is about $20 billion. So we're saying Nigerians in the diaspora are sending home money that is equal to our entire oil revenues as a country. It's a lot of money.
That's huge.
It's massive. But guess what? Only about less than 10%, about 5% of that money gets into the official market where it can influence exchange rates.
So what happens?
The rest of it just finds its way into the country and it does not affect exchange rates. So you find that what happens is that, if you want to get money from, I've got family in the US and sometimes they want to send money to their nephews, and all that. And it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So people have devised different ways.
People even try to use crypto and all the exchange
and it just simply does not affect the exchange rate.
But why do you think people try to boycott?
Because it's difficult. You don't want to believe how difficult it is.
So why should it be difficult? Why is the government not doing it, making it possible? Why is it then what are we doing?
Look,
because if the government has realized that they're losing out,
let me tell you what the problem is. And I've been saying this for so long, but small me in my small corner of the universe, nobody's listening. Our exchange control policies we're doing ourselves a criminal disservice as a country. You know what we do? In other parts of the world, if you want to buy, you are in the US and you need pound sterling, which probably would rarely happen anyway, because whatever you want to do, your dollars will do it for you in the US. Or you're in the UK, you need dollars, instead of pound sterling. Or you're in Germany and you need pounds or you need dollars. You walk into a bank or any other type of bureau de change type of institution on the street corner. You give them maybe your identification, maybe your passport or your driver's license, and you just tell them how much you want. They'll give you one small form. You fill it and you get your money there and then. Transaction done, over. You will get home and then go to the government website and fill a form that the government will now use for data capture, just to make sure they know the transactions that are happening. And in any case, most of the times the banks would even do that on your behalf. In Nigeria, if you want to access any kind of hard currency as an ordinary Nigerian, you are going to fill a form A or a form M or a form Q. When you fill those forms, there is a portal. Before it was just a form you go to your bank and you fill physically. Now there is a portal. To register on that portal is a nightmare.
I traveled earlier in the year and I needed 2 different currencies, including dollar. Yeah. I just couldn't. I had to go to the black markets because I couldn't. When I went to my bank and my bank told me, I'm sorry. Yeah. If we as much as give you $1, we'll be held responsible.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I said, you don't mean it.
Hard. So you have, now imagine this. You have dollars. You buy dollars from the black market. You put it in your DOM account, right? You can't touch that money. You can't use it. You can't transfer it to another DOM account.
Yes, you can't.
In a Nigerian bank.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
So it's deliberate. So your DOM account is just there for you to buy money and put there.
It's useless. It doesn't affect So what the central bank has done is to cordon off the official window, the official market, and put in so many stringent conditions for people to participate in those markets. For ordinary Nigerians, this is very important. Retail Nigerians who are just doing basic retail transactions in foreign currency, they can't access the official market. And they're the ones that drive the largest volumes. They're the ones, it's the retail. Look, we're 200 million people, and we have diasporans about 3 million or 4 million. So
almost every family, every other family now.
Exactly. So the retail transactions drive the largest volumes, but all of it, almost all of it, is happening in the shadows, in the parallel market. So the CBN needs to relax its exchange control policies so that those transactions can move into the official market, and all of that liquidity will hit that market. Exchange rate will crash. The problem is that they are afraid.
Why?
They feel that if they do that, then the fear of round tripping, people now being able to just simply buy money from the official market and send it abroad for no actual value. So it's fear. Now, I've always maintained that fear is what's killing us. Relax. Why were they not afraid to take subsidy away? Why were they not afraid to float the naira? Why are you now afraid? You floated the naira, but you are afraid to relax the policies that is keeping liquidity out of the market. It makes no sense.
But wait, to other countries, even other African countries, do they have this kind of bureau de change that we have everywhere?
These things are anomalies.
Should we have the parallel market even anyway?
Exist. The only reason the parallel market exists is this useless documentary requirements of the CBN. Those things are useless. The only purpose they serve is to provide data for the CBN to analyze.
So now that I'm not captured in that data and I got dollar to do my thing, so what happened? How do you know me?
What value is that? While you are killing the market. So parallel market don't exist in most other parts of the world. There are some countries where they also have these types of issues.
But I think they still have measures to put them in check.
They don't even exist. There is nothing like that. You just go in, one rate, your rate is your rate. Exchange rate is exchange rate. They don't have two rates. Okay.
So, Mr. Shegu, just because so we don't run out of time. So that's one of the reasons you mentioned the floating of the naira moving from 9-something to almost 2,000 as one of the difficult economic situations Nigerians have had to deal with this year.
Absolutely.
What are the things?
Petrol price. These are basic stuff. So what has happened is that exchange rate moved. Of course, petrol price followed because subsidy had been removed. So people again have forgotten that as at very late last year, we're still buying petrol at 600, 650 or something like that. And then early this year, boom, we hit 900 and something. Boom, we crossed into 1,000. God bless Dangote. I tweeted recently, God bless Dangote, because that refinery exists, we're now beginning to see some strange actions in government circles where suddenly...
Why are you doing like this now?
Suddenly...
Don't say what you want to say. Don't say MRS, NNPC. Don't say that. Don't say
it. I will say it.
I've been trying for somebody not to mention that. Okay, go ahead.
Let me say it. All of a sudden, 2 refineries are working. The refinery will never work for 20, 30
even
years.
When they say that blend the way some of them they blend.
Even that blending, even if it's blending,
a miracle too.
Is something is coming out all of a sudden. So I don't even know whether those refineries are working. But the point is, all of a sudden, because Dangote is there, the government is responding and trying to fix their own side of the equation just so that for whatever.
So that means it could be done all along.
Exactly.
Do you think, speaking about refineries now, do you think that Melekere is in any sort of is apprehensive to retain his position, and that's why most of these refineries are working back again?
Absolutely not. Melekere's job is safe and secure.
Because there are reports that all of this Warri refinery working now and other issues are a bit of
no. Okay. All of that is a response of the government itself to Dangote, and that's one of the very strange things again about this country. What we're supposed to do, yes, create competition, let the refineries work, but for goodness sake, make sure we're no longer importing petrol because we don't need to anymore. Between Dangote, Warri, and Port Harcourt now, we have more than enough supply for local consumption being produced locally. Why are we still importing? And you know how that ties in? Because we're still importing, we're still putting pressure on the dollar and the exchange rate.
But you remember that there was a time that the marketers told us that importing is cheaper than Dangote getting from Dangote.
I mean,
remember that? Yeah. Remember that they also mentioned that Dangote said we have to stop importing, but they said that we can't stop importing. So it looks like there are people that importation is benefiting, and that's why we're still doing it.
Exactly. So there are people that are benefiting from the import. Again, there are some. There are some things that are circulating, that I would not want to say on air today, I'm just feeling good. I'm feeling like a good boy. I don't want to say
now.
No. You will not push
even
me
if I
to
want
this one.
you say,
You will not push me to
like
this
this
one, precious. You will not push me to this. I will not say it.
Okay.
But all you have to do is go on the internet and you find that the powers that be are probably entrenched and enmeshed in the importation thing, such that it is in the interest of those powers that be, I will not mention any name, to continue importation. And that's why we are not patronizing Dangote, and that's why all of a sudden NNPC is working.
But if we don't, if Nigeria as a country if Nigeria as a country refuses to patronize Dangote, does it stand anything to lose?
No.
If it has to export to other countries.
Export is petrol now. We're the ones losing. Our exchange rate is the one still suffering.
Hey.
So, whatever. So the point is, petrol price has again, dealt with us. Another thing that we can quickly remember that happened this year to people is Band A, Band C, Band D.
Hey.
Band choir, band chorus. You're either in a band or you're in the choir. So you are Band A, your cost of electricity has quadrupled. Then if you are
that was an increment by 330%. That's a lot.
4 times. It's crazy, right? So that's ridiculous. A lot of people have gone off grid. They just found a way.
Yes,
and went
people
solar.
are going solar and
they just
other
go
things.
solar and find other ways.
I plan to buy the way too.
My sister is beautiful. Just forget.
Stay off the grid. But would the government not be losing?
Yeah, but that's the point. So at the end of the day,
so we are now our own minister of power.
Haven't we
that is our own Adelabu.
Haven't we always been? So we were using generators before, but now at least you are augmenting with NEPA. Now NEPA now says that you are going to buy in at 209. But the problem with this Band-Aid thing, which is the other thing that has happened to Nigeria, is on the one hand, people that have access to it, very small percentage of Nigerians who are affluent, that's the people they are channeling all of our energy to. Then the rest of people, Band B, C, D, and whatever, are not getting any power at all. There are people that are getting 1 hour per day.
I agree.
There are people that are getting 2 hours per day. Some 1 hour, 3 hours per day.
I am supposed to be in a band that at least I deserve to get about 16 hours of light in a day. But I assure you I don't get up to 10 hours.
Because the entire distribution capacity of the country has not increased. We're still running at about 4,000 megawatts.
I was going to say that we never really had an increment in megawatts because we're still producing less than 5,000 megawatts of since Obasanjo's regime.
So how come people like me who live in Band-A communities, truly, we're getting 22 hours of power on the average? Where is it coming from? Because our generation capacity and distribution capacity has not increased. So what has happened is that they've rechanneled all of that 4,000 megawatts that they have to affluent communities and starved everybody else. And unfortunately, that is so counterproductive because what it does is that it starves people the electricity they need to be productive. So they will now be forced to go and be using generator, buying petrol at 1,000 or 900 and whatever it is that it is now. So that's another thing that has happened in this year that has been really calamitous. And we can just go on and on. We started this year inflation at 28%. We're on 34.6%,
But I have an issue with that inflation. I'm sorry, Mr. Shegu, you're an economist, and I need you to really, that's one of the reasons I invited you here, by the way, so that Nigerians can fully understand. So if we started this year, inflation by 28%, for instance, as you said, and if you look at year on year, between December last year and this year, inflation would have risen to maybe less than 10%. Yeah, exactly. Less than 10%. Yeah. The price of rice last year, December, was 85,000, 80,000 naira.
Yep.
As at this year, December, is about 150,000, 130,000 thereabouts. Yep. Please, is that 10% increment?
Nope.
The price of transportation last year, December, normal bike would take you 100 or 150. Now they take 300 naira. Is that a 10, 15% or less than 10% increment? So how do you think how can you explain to Nigerians how the MBS come with this there, how they derive the statistics of what inflation is? Because it's really vague to a lot of Nigerians and we don't understand it.
It's confusing. The reason for that is that it's a basket. It's a basket. So when they say inflation has grown by 34% year on year, we're saying that on the average, by the time you calculate the price of rice, like you said, last year to this year, the price of gari, the price of beans, the price of yams, all those are food items. You will now move away from food and look at the cost of education last year to this year, healthcare last year to this year, transportation last year to this year, telecoms last year to this year. And some of those things represent a large chunk of the spend of the average Nigerian. For example, telecoms represent about 10 to 20%.
And we hear that there's going to be an incremental tariff from January.
Yeah, and
from tomorrow, by the way. It's January already.
And I have no objections to that, by the way. I think it's long overdue. So if you look at all of those things, you find that some have grown, like you said, by well over 100%, but some have not grown by that much. And those ones that have not grown by that much may represent a large enough percentage of the overall spend in the economy, such that it is compensating for those ones that have grown by 100%, because it's an average. That figure is an average.
But Mr. Shegu, this doesn't still add up. I'm sorry, because for an average Nigerian who perhaps patronizes telecom companies, for instance, as much as my tariff, the same amount I may buy tariff or data last year may be the same thing this year, but the rate at which it runs out is faster this year. So would I not still be spending more? Do you understand me?
I agree.
Will I not still be spending more? So is it enough to say that because they've not announced any official tariff increment, so therefore we have not had any inflation in that aspect?
Unfortunately, the inflation numbers is not talking about how much money you are spending. It's talking about the price you are paying. So since the telecom companies have found a trick around the issue, so we can't increase our tariffs, Abi.
Oh yeah, now when you finish, come buy another one.
Exactly. So they found a smart way to do that. Inflation will not capture that. The inflation numbers will not capture that. So, but I think it's also important to say that even the inflation numbers, as much as I've tried to explain, is an average, is a large basket. Some things didn't really move much, and then some move very much. So by the time you do the average, the movement is about 33%. But a lot of economists have said repeatedly that the basket needs to be reviewed. We have not reviewed the components of that basket, I think, in about 10 years or so. And we're leaving out a lot of things. So the number we're getting, that 33%,
cannot be accurate.
It's not correct. It's not accurate.
So that means in reality, we're supposed to be getting more than that 33%.
In reality, somebody has done that analysis before, some sort of modeling. And what they've come up with is that in reality, we're around 60% inflation.
60%?
Yeah, about 50 to 60% inflation. That's actually our
what country survives that?
Update, exactly. And that, and if you exactly look at your reaction now, if you hear 60% inflation, you react. So you
think that that's why NBS would deliberately just want to keep it minimal?
Yes.
In other words, subtly lying to Nigerians.
It's a political thing, unfortunately. Sadly.
That is they deliberately they tell us the direct right figure.
When Dr. Yemi Kale was the Statistician General of Nigeria, the NBS was a flying example of a data gathering and releasing organization. When he left a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, that place has been going down. Imagine them telling us that unemployment in Nigeria today is 4%, 4 points.
Did you not hear the statistics of being employed? That if
crazy.
It's
1 hour.
If you just tell me now, Precious, just help me do this thing for me. I'll give you something. Even if now 1K, you give me in 1 week. That means I am working
per week. How can you use that to calculate employment? That's why that number is wrong. So and that was a pure political gimmick. And there are a number of other things like that I've seen that the NBS is doing. So, unfortunately, inflation seems to also be falling by the wayside.
All right. So before we look at what would be, in what Nigerians would have to experience in 2025, the NLC has asked the federal government to prioritize the welfare and well-being of Nigerians. Do you see the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu prioritizing the welfare of Nigerians? He's made that promise over time. No, if you're not watching on YouTube, you're locked in. Goodness, that how you gave to me, I could not resist it.
No, because I just thinking.
You guys go to YouTube and look at Mr. Shokwiton's face when I asked him that question. Why are you doing this now?
No, because I can't control. I'm so sorry. I'm very expressive. I'm sorry, and I just couldn't
Have you tried acting?
Like, which president are you talking about?
Anybody who's not watching is on a long thing.
Which president?
The way you just looked at me, shining your teeth and looking at me.
Are you kidding me? So the look I gave our dear listeners is like a look of Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? I was just laughing like bemusely.
Oh,
Look,
okay.
the president said in his media chat,
Yes.
just last week.
Yes.
Just last week.
Yes.
I have no regrets. That's what he said.
He said his cousin self-excellent.
Yes. So, which welfare? As far as the president is concerned, Nigerians are doing well. We're doing well. Nigerians are happy with the reforms that have been done. Are absolutely necessary sacrifices to bring us out of the doldrums that Buhari left us and to bring us into El Dorado in no time at all. And we're all happy. We all understand. We know that this is for our own good. So this petrol that we're buying now, that your tank that you used to fill with 20,000 naira that you now fill with 120,000 naira is for your own good. And we all know, we understand it, we love it that way. And the president has no regrets. Which welfare? There's no welfare. He's not bothered about you because he believes that you are okay. You understand?
So you believe that that's the reason why in the 2025 budget, for instance, the presidency is spending over 8 billion naira on overhauling the presidential air fleet. Till today, I don't know if they've mentioned and if you've heard, we're still unsure and unaware of where we got money to buy the new presidential jet. I don't know. Has it been stated? No. Because I am not sure that passed through the House, the National Assembly. I am not sure it was in the budget.
There was never a bill.
There was no bill. There was no bill.
Nothing.
There was till now the presidency, whom we voted for, who's supposed to be serving us, is yet to explain to us how they got money to buy such a flight, a jet, right? Yeah. And in the 2025 budget, we're still buying spoons and knives and forks and cabinets and all of those issues, things that we know are not perishable, things that we know that have, some of them even have everlasting lifespan. Yep. We're still spending money on them, and these are billions of naira being spent on them. And is it, I mean, I could go on and on. Absolutely. And the fact that even to just chop food, to even buy the same, see, Mr. Shokweton, look, I don't know if you remember that we renovated Aso Rock before.
Yes.
Before, after the election.
Yes.
Before, that is with the 2023 budget, there was a renovation of Aso Rock in the budget. Yes. The supplementary budget for 2023 came. There's renovation. Remember?
Absolutely.
2024.
21 billion.
2024, we still touch Aso Rock again.
Yes.
2025 now, there's still provision. We won't keep the place for renovation. So all of these issues, we bought cars for Aso Rock just in the past 2024 budget. Are we going to buy cars again for Aso Rock in this 2025 budget again? Now, please, I'm tired.
Look, I looked at that budget. This is my job. This is what I do for a living. So I spent time. I poured through it. And I won't say I was disappointed because I really didn't have any expectation, but I didn't realize that it was going to be this bad. That budget is literally speaking a replica of the budget for last year. So basically what we're doing is business as usual. Nothing.
Hey, but the president said that he's taking the tough decisions that nobody has the APOB to do now to take.
So again, talking about the president, I need to watch my words since I'm on air. But sorry, I don't agree with him. The documents don't agree with him. His own document, the budget is sent to the National Assembly, does not agree with him. What difficult decisions? The only two things that the president has done that has been difficult decisions in quote, and he took it with bravado. It wasn't difficult for him at all. He just did it flippantly. Was the removal of subsidy and the floating of the exchange rate. The real difficult decisions that need to be made. The president has not gone anywhere near.
What are those?
Look, the structure of the budget. If you look at that budget, the only thing that has, the reason it's, and then we say the budget is an ambitious budget. That's the way they put it. It's an ambitious budget for the 7.9 trillion or 49.7 trillion, whatever you want, whichever you want to go with. The only reason that number is that high is the exchange rate that went up. Because
our money no get value.
Because of the value. So when you reduce that budget to dollars, that budget is smaller than Buhari's last budget. Buhari's last budget was 47 billion US dollars. This budget is 30 billion US dollars. The budget for last year was 20 billion US dollars, the smallest we have had in 10 years. So the budget is unambitious, is uninspiring, it's pedestrian. It's basically just taking the budget for last year and just copying the components and redoing it. the allocation, the sectoral allocation to defense, education, healthcare, and all of those things are exactly the way they were in the previous budget. So you can't see any difficult decision. The ministries that the president created supposedly to drive change and to move us in a different pathway. For example, he created a ministry called the Ministry of
Livestock Development.
There's livestock development, hardly got any serious allocation.
Blue economy, sir.
That's the one I
As I be sonsi, I be the sit down for front of class, sir. Not because of my height, but not because I wear glasses.
That blue economy one is the one I looked for it specifically.
Please, what have they done since they started?
Nothing.
It is a Boyega Oyetola.
Nothing. That thing
so,
is just.
But blue economy is supposed to be something
it's huge.
Marine.
Look, it's huge. That thing.
And when I saw that, when I saw the creation of that economy, I lauded it. I said,
exactly.
Interesting.
It's one of the things that I thought.
Do you know that we undermine our water? We undermine our water resources.
The potential of
what we
the
can.
Economy is almost as serious as oil. That's how much you can take from the water in terms of the natural resources,
especially Nigeria with huge water mass
ecosystem now, the coastal lines and then the inland waterways and all of that. But in the budget, I think just about 150 billion or something.
So what have they done, please, since they came? We're educating Nigerians.
I really am sorry, I don't know, because I've not heard. The only way you know what ministries are doing
is when they say
they come out and have press briefings. So that's why you see that some ministers are trending, because they keep
including my former governor. I don't want to
mention names,
okay.
But we know the one that trend the most, and we know why it's trending. So some of those ministries, nothing happened to them in the budget. Nothing. Culture and tourism. They give them fanciful names. That's another area where we can make
what is the state? What is
money.
The state of our tourists? See, okay, so I have been to what do they call this place in Senegal? What do they call that place? There's this place in Senegal where they immortalized for the slave trade thingy. I'd have to remember, right? And if you go through that place, you find out that most of the things that are there, most of the artifacts and all that are there are not original. Most of them are now made. The one we have in Calabar still had the original, chains. That's the shackles, the original shackles that this, the colonial masters were tying our forefathers on. Still had them. Still had the original pits. Still had the original. So if you go there, you feel that
even in Badagry.
God bless you. But the one in Senegal does not have all that originality. Guess how much that space earns Senegal in tourism. If you go there, you see troops of different people from different countries come into that place in Senegal just to see that site. What is the state of our tourist attractions in Nigeria?
Countries like Kenya earn billions of dollars
in tourism. I know that's a major attraction.
Billions of dollars. So when the president renamed that.
Oh yeah, that place is in Goree Island. Yes.
Okay, Goree. Yeah, he renamed the ministry. It sounded all fanciful, and I thought, oh, this is nice. Go into the budget, nothing. The allocation to that ministry is just a run of the mill. So I'm sorry.
And we have beautiful waterfalls. Obudukata Ranch is now nonsensical compared to what it was.
Have you seen Kajuru Castle? It's in Kaduna. It's in southern Kaduna. Nobody can go there anymore because of the banditry and all that. But, oh my God, you will think you are in medieval Spain, medieval Europe. Kajuru Castle is in Kaduna. Just Google it when we finish this show. Just Google it. You'll see the building. It's beautiful. And that kind of place, Onyibo people, they like them. They even go there. They used to go there until everything fell apart, So, forget the tourism potential in Nigeria is humongous. Again, multi-billion-dollar industry. What are we doing with it? Nothing. Solid mineral development. Go and check the allocation in the budget to it. So when you see the budget, you just discover that the president hasn't done anything special.
I've seen it.
He hasn't done anything.
It's
amazing.
Very beautiful.
Look at those pictures.
Very medieval.
Yeah.
Very
medieval.
medieval.
Like medieval Spain. Medieval Europe. Beautiful stuff. When I saw
the vibe of a bit of Italy and Spain mixed together.
Just like Italy and Spain. I was like, I must go to this place, but then bandits have now taken over those places and nobody can go there. So I have not seen anything special that the president has done in this budget that would give us hope that it's going to be different. That the country is going to take a different turn because there are very bold, brave decisions being made and, policies being rolled out. Nothing. The only thing that we have had is removal of subsidy, exchange rate flotation, and the CBN trying to fight fire.
So are you saying that there is no hope that the president would heed the cry of NLC by prioritizing the welfare of citizens?
No, I think the president will do the usual thing that they've been doing since they started,
which is
tokenistic handouts. They do handouts, bag of rice, send a truck of rice that disappears, like literally either disappears.
Do you know anyone who benefits from those?
I
have never had someone who benefits.
I haven't met anyone personally, but
why?
I don't know. I don't know.
You haven't?
I haven't met one single human being, but I hear people talk about it, maybe on WhatsApp groups. Somebody will say, "Oh, I know someone," and all that. But
they all know someone, but not them personally.
I've not met anybody that said I got it. So, but I'm sure somebody must be getting something somewhere. But the point and the reason that is happening, the reason you don't know anybody and I don't know anybody, is like I've always said, those palliatives are drops, pin drops in an ocean. It will disappear because it's just simply not enough. If you calculate, they say 20 trucks, 20, I can't remember the number. When I did the calculation, it came to 1 cup of rice.
Yes,
1 cup of rice. It's ridiculous. So
all right,
those are the kind of things that we'll probably expect.
So, Madam Hardship-Edu, who, by the way, has not been held responsible, neither has she been, tried for whatever it is. We don't know the outcome of the investigation in her ministry so far. Well, she's assured
Nigerians. A new
Nigerians.
minister is in place, by the way.
Yes.
So that matter is dead.
Okay. So, she's assured Nigerians that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu means well for Nigeria, and that by next year, that the efforts of that there will be full restoration of the hardship and trials that we're going through in 2024. Do you believe so?
No. But I think the first thing is, in what capacity is she speaking? Because the last time that I checked, he was a suspended minister.
Yes.
That was supposed to face some sort of, retribution for the pilferage of billions of naira that were supposed to go to underprivileged Nigerians. This is something that is supposed to be that the president should, if
it's in another country, they will take those things like that seriously. Like if you take money meant for physically challenged or
the underprivileged, you are going to jail for a very long time.
But it's not been proven that. They say they will investigate.
So let's finish the investigation. How come she's now talking about the good intentions of the president when her very, very integrity is right there in the open? The answer is blowing in the wind. What kind of country is this? Hardship-Edu should not be speaking on national issues because she's being investigated for theft of, is it 40 billion or something like that? It's horrible. So whatever she's saying, I'm not particularly interested. I don't think she's in a position to.
All right. So let's look at the growth, Nigeria's growth economically this year. The GDP growth rate grew by 2.89% in Q1, and in fact, it surpassed the imagination of the benchmark, as it were. That growth in GDP, can you help Nigerians explain and why it did not impact them personally?
Because GDP measures productivity of a country. This is the totality of what we're doing. And the theory behind it is that if you are productive adequately enough, that productivity is coming from people. It means that people are doing well, So
that means my life don't better pass the way it been there before.
Yes.
But then how can GDP grow but Nigerians' lives are not better, or some people's lives?
One of the reasons is that as GDP is growing in Nigeria, our population is growing.
Oh.
So we're feeding more mouths than we can afford to. GDP growth rate on the average this year is going to be 3.01, 3.05 there, about maybe 3.1 on the average. We did, like you said, 2.89, 3.46, and then 3. What was it again that the president was celebrating? So, but by the time you do the fourth quarter and average it, we'll probably arrive at about 3.1, right? Our population growth rate is about 2.89, 2.9. So it don't cancel out.
But do we really have good statistics of that population growth?
We don't know.
And this is this estimation.
We have to go with what we have. But what we do know is what we see. Eye test. Think about that man in Kano that has him alone, 100 children. Then a lot of guys in the north tend to have 10, 15 children from either one or multiple wives. And then even down south, we still have polygamists who have quite a number of children.
And then we'll have baby mamas and side chicks.
And there are side chicks with baby mamas. So we're growing. Nigeria is growing. the GDP is not growing fast enough, first of all, to take care of the Nigerians. Then the
But if
other
it is
problem-
not growing fast enough to take care of Nigeria, then why do we count that as growth?
Because GDP is GDP now. It is we as analysts.
Is it not when it affects the lives of the people involved based on productivity that it will be counted?
It's we as analysts that are now trying to say why is it not affecting the lives of people, and this is one of the reasons. The second reason is that in Nigeria, our GDP is not inclusive. The growth that we have is not inclusive. In other words, it is not carrying everybody along. So those numbers that they calculate, I don't want to go into the details of the breakdown of GDP, consumption, investment, savings, and all of that. But if you look at the way we calculate it, and you look at the structure of the Nigerian economy and the role of government and the inefficiencies in government and the corruption, I say it doesn't percolate. It doesn't drill down to the average man on this. The thing they hang in the air somewhere along the way and disappears. So the people will not feel it. For example, let me give you an example. Government says, I'm going to build a flyover. Let's say in Lagos, they built 4 flyovers this year. In the budget, and the figure that goes into the budget, one, and the figure that goes in the contract that was issued will be used to calculate government spending, which goes into GDP, right? So in that figure, government says we have spent 10 billion on building 4 flyovers, right? So that 10 billion, if it actually is used for that purpose, you will find laborers, contractors, providers of services, women that will, benefit from that spend.
Yes.
But unfortunately, as we all know, that 10 billion, in all likelihood, maybe only 800 million will go into the building of those structures. But GDP has captured 10 billion.
So you don't even reach.
So the thing will not get down to the people because it gets missing along the way through corruption. That's one of the problems with our numbers.
But what do you think?
They
What do
don't
you make?
reflect
What do you
reality.
make about the president saying that he's not going to probe anyone for corruption?
He says that he will give people loans. That when people have loans, they will not steal.
Sorry. Well, Nigerians, just to let you know, just to let you know, I have a special announcement at the end of the show. So please watch the show to the end there. I have a very special announcement for you guys at the end of the show. Okay, so going back to the conversation, there are other indices, right? Let's look at increase in headline inflation. You already mentioned that. Increase in monetary policy. Monetary policy rate. That is one thing I do not understand. Why we would have to increase interest rates so that we remove money to fight inflation? I don't understand.
Let me explain.
Because all the while we've been trying to increase interest rates to fight inflation, the thing is not fighting. It looks like the inflation is fighting back. So please help us. You see, that's why I called you. I said you're the only one who can help break it down to an understanding of Nigerians. And then we'll look at what we're ready for in 2025.
Okay. Let me explain what's happening with that monetary policy rate and why it's not working. Look, in theory and in properly structured economies around the world, it works. It's magic. Once the CBN increases interest rates, inflation will go down. We've seen it happen in the US recently. We've seen it happen, all of them, all those countries that were reporting 10%, 12% inflation.
Yes, they came down. Yes.
It's down. How? They were just hiking rates.
People that had all-time or 40 years of inflation started coming down.
It's all back down to 2%, 2.1%, something percent now. Why? Because CBN hiked their monetary policy rate in Nigeria.
And even at that, they did not hike it as much as our own.
No,
I hope you know.
of course
you
not.
engage me. So
Not.
I just wanted to
We didn't
remind
go
them.
anywhere near what we're doing.
Okay.
But of course, our inflation is senior. Is a senior
The grandfather of inflation.
to the one that
The grand
experiencing
commander
that.
of inflation.
So
Okay.
the rates too will be very senior. So now, the idea behind hiking rates is that there's too much money supply in the financial system, and that's it. It's true. The statistic, it's mind-boggling. We have 107 trillion naira in not cash, just money. Fixed deposits, current account deposits, savings account, all types of money, T-bill, investments, and cash. Everything put together, 107 trillion as at September of this year. Move to May of this year, that figure was 95 trillion naira. So in spite of the fact that CBN was hiking interest rates, money supply continued to grow, continued to gallop. Move back to 2 years ago, that figure was 65 trillion naira. Now, ordinarily, you would say money supply drives inflation. Why? Because if you have that basic definition of inflation in economics that they taught us in secondary school is very true. Too much money chasing too few goods. So if you have 107 trillion naira in circulation, chasing an unproductive economy where there's no electricity, so we are really not producing anything other than food, inflation will gallop. Now, the problem is that apart from money supply in Nigeria, inflation is not driven only by what the technical people call demand pull.
Okay,
which is
yes.
money supply, like there's money.
Yes.
So money is so plenty is now pulling products.
Dragging the product along.
It's not that is affecting inflation. In Nigeria, it's cost push. It's the fact that subsidy was removed. Exchange rate was moved. There's food insecurity. So food prices are going up.
So how do you know this as an economist? And the CBN that is making this law do not know it enough to know that they should perhaps re-strategize. Because now them, they make the laws where they affect our lives like this.
But the CBN, I was saying on another platform recently that, look, you can't ask a dog to mew. It's cats that mew. And then cows.
Just calm down, Oga. Just take a minute. That is, you know, go fit tell dog to do meow, meow.
Yes.
Say like cats, they do meow, meow.
Woof, woof. That's the sound a dog makes. He can never do meow. Even if you see him, you go run.
Good.
The CBN, the only language they understand and the only tools that they have available to them to fight inflation is monetary policy tools, is to increase interest rates. So it will take a brave CBN governor to say, no, it's not working. I'm not moving interest rate anymore. And sit down with the fiscal side and the trade
because you have
side.
monetary policy, fiscal policy.
Sit down with the Minister of Finance. Sit down with the Minister of Trade and Investment. Sit down with the Minister of Agriculture. Sit down with the Minister of Defense. Police Service, Minister of Police Affairs, what they call them. Form a team together and roll out strategies that will secure the cost push factors. So on the fiscal side, the Minister of Finance will start talking to the President and start looking at, sir, what do we do about this subsidy? How can we help Nigerians? Should we introduce, like what they try to do, to remove import duties on certain food items?
That never happened, by the way.
Happen.
It never happened.
Exactly.
And why do you think that never happened? Because it became a problem. Who would get the contract of
implementation? So,
but was that not thought before the? Would he not put it in mind before making the promise?
I don't want to,
because that promise, and I'm sorry, but let me remind Nigerians that we were promised a 150 days of window of having costs duty-free importation of basic food items and drugs.
Rice.
Don't forget drugs and drugs. You understand? Until now, this administration has failed to live up to that responsibility. Do you not think that they owe us an apology and an explanation to say, oh, we've been promising us something, or sorry, say we no fit do am? Or do you think that they just see finish, like they no value us to talk, say they owe us apology? Because it's fair that Nigerians understand what's going on.
They owe us an apology, but are we going to get it? I don't think so. We haven't seen any signals from them in the last year and a half that they tend to apologize for anything. So it won't happen. They will not even admit it anyway. So
people that would have hoped that, I want to buy my BP drug, they go soon in commodity, so make her wait small. Hypertension will kill the person.
Yeah, it didn't happen. So sadly, that didn't happen. But those are the kind of things that should have happened. Networking between CBN governor and the fiscal, trade, everybody coming together to put policies together that will bring inflation down. Unfortunately, that's not happening, and CBN is just going to keep increasing rates. And as we have seen, as the interest rate is being increased, inflation they follow them instead of coming down. Because what is driving inflation is more than the interest rate. There is also the problem of the exchange rate. The problem of the exchange rate, which is in the control of the CBN, and that's where I have my issues with the CBN governor. This thing that he said in May at the IMF spring meeting. The thing pained me to my bone, and I will not forgive him. Willing buyer, willing seller, price discovery. He says that's their policy, and he's going to stick with it no matter what. And he reiterated it again in December. But it's not working. So you can't do willing buyer, willing seller price discovery. Nobody does it. Japan controls the exchange rate. The United States, they influence the interest rates. They intervene.
But calm down now, Mr. Shego. As your blood is boiling, please be calming down. So drink water, my dear brother. Drop cup too. Sorry. But you know that the IMF even though they eventually denied it, that they did not advise us, World Bank, IMF, they did not advise us to float our naira. They did not also advise us to do away with all subsidies. But we have heard this over time. In fact, there was a time that President Muhammad Buhari was interviewed where he said that he's not going to do that. He will not do it because it will. Chadoso made that statement because of the interest of that interest.
Absolutely.
Oh, you think so?
That's exactly what happened. He was saying it at an IMF meeting.
Oh,
and recently that he did that in May, and then I don't know when IMF denied this thing. They must be on something cheap and expensive and expired. How can they deny it when there are documented, there are reports where they have said,
IMF said that they did not advise Nigerians to
whoever said that in the IMF, they need to go and investigate the person, because there are reports, there are official reports from the IMF and the World Bank saying that Nigeria must take subsidies away and Nigeria must float its exchange rate. And in December, or was it late November, the IMF president patted Nigeria on the back, literally gave almost a physical pat on the back to Yemi Cardoso and said, the IMF, we're happy with you, So, of course, he said those things because he was at an IMF event. But those things are not working. You cannot do willing buyer, willing seller price discovery with your exchange rate. Your exchange rate is a national security issue. It's a national interest issue. So you must intervene. It's a national interest issue. So you must intervene. You must have some sort of a say in the direction. You must have a band. What all countries do is that you would have a band, exchange rate band, below which and above which you will not allow
anybody to pass. So and then that maybe should not be more than like a 200, a 20 naira or a 30 naira thereabouts.
Whatever it is, but you must intervene.
It is here now. IMF said that it was a domestic decision.
Okay, we thank them.
They did not.
We know.
All right. So just before we open the phone lines, what is the need for Nigerians in 2025 economically? That is, my former governor. They say many people wear their gyms. Why are gyms? Should we wear our gyms tight, or maybe we should loosen the gyms a little bit? Not be jeans on our gyms. Should we loosen it a little bit? What's a prospect economically for Nigerians in 2025 from tomorrow?
It's a difficult question to answer, but I think that it probably will not get worse. And this is me being optimistic. I don't think it will get better, but I don't think it will get significantly worse. I think the worst is behind us. I think that the kind of cost of living changes that we experienced in the last year and a half, we won't go through that again. Fuel price has even started coming down a little. It's marginal, but at least it came down. It's not going up. We were fearing.
Are you sure that this is not just at the interim?
No.
Okay.
Because the Dangote influence is
pushing it.
It's having a major say in what's happening there.
How do you see that partnership with MRS? It's okay.
It's beautiful.
Continue.
I love it, and we're benefiting. Look, I bought petrol at 925 naira.
I never buy that cheap
from NNPC. MRS and Dangote were supposed to be selling at 950, 965. NNPC went
now reduce their own further.
They reduce it. So I am praying that
MRS will go down again.
That price was
should continue
in Dangote, because Dangote loves price wars from his history. That it will come upon him and take hold of him
and possess him
and move him, and he will drop price to 800 so that NNPC can go to 700.
Right.
But we don't know. But the point is, it's not likely to go higher. Cost of living will probably stay where it is. Inflation will probably kind of stabilize.
But because of job creation, job availability, and all of those, you see Nigerians keeping their heads above the water.
I think people need to. For me, my advice to people is you've got to look out for yourself.
How people go use look out for themselves with jobs?
You have to.
People don't have jobs.
Find something to do. Look, there is a thriving economy online. People are making money. Precious.
Everybody's a content creator now.
And the world is insatiable. The content is, the people are just lapping it up. Just get your views, you get your money, you get paid. It's hard work, and that's the problem. It's hard work, and it takes consistency, and it takes time.
Yes.
So those are two things: time and consistency. People should look out for themselves. People should. That's one of the things that I've decided. Like, I'm a social commentator. I'm a civil society activist, so I get emotional. I talk a lot about these things, but I've decided I will temper it and balance it, right? And look out for myself and my family.
You want to be a little bit selfish?
just a little bit, I think is necessary for
I
mental
think I need a bit of
health
that
and
selfishness
safety.
too.
Yes. While you are not going to cut off. You can't, because you are in the situation. So you are not going to just detach yourself, but you need to look out for yourself. So find something productive to do beyond whatever promises that government is making. See, on the government side, forget, it is what it is. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're not going to listen to anybody, because we are not holding governments accountable. So they get away with blue murder, and that's the way it's going to continue. So you on your own, if it's a trade you are going to start in 2025, start it. If it's something to do online, do it. If it's a new business, do it. If it's investment, if you're a salary earner, you better start saving and investing a lot of that your money. Make sacrifices, make cuts in your expenses to put large chunks of money away for the rainy day, which can come at any time. But generally speaking, I think we've seen the worst of cost of living increases, inflation, and all of that. I think at the moment we're likely to see improvements before the end of the year in a lot of this indicators.
Before the end of 2025 now, because this one this particular year has ended.
2025.
Okay. You know when you say the end of the year, it's good to be specific, because this one don't finish. Okay.
So I'm talking of 2025. I think we'll likely see some improvements. Hopefully we'll see exchange rate improvement, because I think that some things are going to happen in spite of government. Like, no matter what they do, like, how do they want to control the impact of Dangote on the price of petrol? There's nothing they can do. They're going to respond, and that price is going to come down.
All right, so just before I let you, just before we begin to take the calls, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has been quoted saying that Emefiele and others ruined the economy and put Nigerians' life in danger, or on life support. Do you agree with him? Emefiele alone and others, unnamed.
The unnamed others, who are they? I think Emefiele was the worst CBN governor we've ever had. I don't agree with the demonization and vilification he's going through. I think that's political. You know, my father worked in the CBN, so I know what I'm saying. My father rose to deputy director level, my late father. So I know the CBN. All those things they're saying about Emefiele, it's not possible. You can't steal money, like just say 3 billion.
So if he took that decision with the approval of someone, why is the person, why are those other people not held accountable? Why is Emefiele's name alone being mentioned?
They are above and they can't be touched. And Emefiele was the face of the political gamesmanship that the CBN got involved in, during the elections. He's suffering for that now. But having said that, I don't agree with his, continued persecution. The guy was the worst CBN governor we've ever had. So I won't disagree with Akpabio. His policies, this ways and means thing that he did was horrible. It's major reason why inflation is where it is now, because that's what triggered it before other things now joined on board. His exchange rate policy was a debacle. It was horrible. We had 5, in fact 6 official exchange rates.
But he managed, but he still managed to keep the naira the way it is for a long time, more than this present CBN governor.
It was intervening, and I don't have a problem.
Do you think there hasn't been intervention in this era?
There have been, but it's not
so why
enough.
Are we not truthful about the intervention?
I don't know why Cardoso is lying. There have been interventions.
Oh, so Cardoso is lying.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I don't know why Cardoso is not telling us exactly how it is. Sorry. I'm so sorry for you. I don't like what you're doing, Precious. So
that's what lies are open. It's okay.
I don't like what Cardoso is doing. He should tell us the truth. There have been interventions. And I think there should be intervention. But what Emefiele did was very bad. I was in the UK in 2015, 2016, when Emefiele, when the naira was devalued. My trip was ruined. Emefiele blocked all cards. He said we couldn't use cards.
Yes, but till now we still can't use our cards. Are you using your card?
No.
So why has it not been reversed by Cardoso?
I wonder. So when they say Emefiele,
because it makes transaction frustrating. You want to do an e-commerce transaction, you can't use your naira card.
You still can't use your naira card online till today. I want to pay.
You travel out of the country before now. You had at least an amount you can use.
My Microsoft account, Microsoft 365, I pay is 67,000 naira per annum. I haven't been able to pay.
You can't pay. You have to get a dollar card to pay.
I have a dollar card, but I'm hesitating because I have to go and buy dollars.
Of course, I'm putting inside
and pay it in. And I'm hesitating to do that. So I'm going to resolve it, but it just shows where we still are. So here we are. The Senate President is saying MFLA ruined Nigeria, but the policies the MFLA implemented are still being sustained, including, funny enough, multiple exchange rates. Till today, even though they don't quite say it exactly like that, we actually have more than one official exchange rate in this country. How can that be? And we're blaming
the one make him feel like the one make him such a villain if some of his policies are still in use today.
We're still using them because right now we have a customs rate. The rate at which customs duty is calculated is different from the official exchange rate. So why are we now saying MFLA is the devil?
Okay. All right. Lagos, Nigeria phone lines are open. Apologies, I took up most of the time. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. 070 081717563338. That's the WhatsApp line. 081717563338. I don't know if I have commercial break. I think I've overstayed my commercial break. Apologies. Let's quickly run for a commercial break. We'll be right back and we'll begin to take your calls and reactions. And as I said earlier, I have an announcement to make to you at the end of this show. So you have to stay glued there. I'll talk to you after.
There are moments to live, create and make believe. If it ain't graceful like royalty, trust your gut, it's not regal. Feel it flowing through, tastes so good, so you let go and let your spirit thrill your senses. Open up a bottle of Regal Deluxe. We on some chilling things. Spirits up, Regal Gin in. Open up a new experience. Spirits up, Regal Gin in. So smooth and rich. Spirits up, Regal Gin in. Open up a bottle of Regal Deluxe.
Introducing Regal Deluxe Gin, a new taste for an enjoyable drinking experience. Drink responsibly. Regal, a natural gin crafted for your experiences.
Not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
The Evening Rush with Pressures.
Hear that? That's ice cubes falling into a glass. You're burning for a drink. A shot of that Regal Deluxe will do. You need that smooth chill down your throat. That tingle in your senses that makes you shut your eyes. Before you take a sip, you like to watch the spirit mix with the ice. You bring it closer. You taste it. That right there, that was a smooth moment. A redefining moment. Open your eyes and enjoy the new Regal Deluxe, a gin-flavored spirit drink. Regal. Crafted for your experiences. Not to be sold to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
The Evening Rush with Pressures.
I'm happy with him.
Thank you.
Yeah, why I'm happy with
I crossed 7 seas to bring you this guest though, so you should be very happy.
He doesn't have any political sentiment. He's calm down and say what he sees. That is good. And now I want to say, yes, God bless our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu also. Because why I say so is, he's always take people to the highest level. You know, in Lagos, when he started, he has a warm way I see him. He may not be good on finishing, but he will start it, make everything start. Even if he's not the one that is going to make it better, the next person that will take over from him will now make it more better than as Ahmed started it. Why I say so, I have a governor in Imo State, Roger Sokrocha. He did a lot of things. Even if he does not do it well, people is complaining. But he has make things happen. If we are lucky, get next government that is going to start where he stopped, maybe Imo State will be a paradise for everybody to stay. But why am I saying this? Also, where your man is saying that about this maybe for the policy of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for dollar aspect, as he said, this dollar aspect of this thing, not every Nigeria, we are not somehow okay to manage everything for bank. Because I've traveled a lot of countries. When I go to Singapore, where I change my money is not in the bank. They asked me to go and take some money from there. I paid my hotel room. I went to Dubai and all that. Forget America and the British. They are more better than us. So what I will say is, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has started it. By the grace of God, it did not do it complete. Others will complete it for us. God bless you now.
Thank you. God bless you too. All right. So let me just go back to another call. I wanted someone did ask a question. I just opened my what did they call it? I just opened my YouTube to take messages, WhatsApp to take messages, and I saw some reactions. So somebody did ask a question. Say, Precious, good evening. One good story is missing here. I didn't hear you mention that Tinubu is number 3 most corrupt leader in the world.
That's the latest one. That's a recent story. Yeah.
So do you believe that report by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project?
I haven't had enough time to look at the credibility of the person that issued the ranking. So I really would rather not comment.
Okay. Because but you know what they did? They sampled opinion from individuals.
Yeah, exactly.
They sampled opinion and they asked that people should nominate, and then they later went back to the
problem that I have with those types of rankings is that they're usually people's opinions. They're just opinion polls. They're not real. They're not.
But I think they did some cross-checking according to.
Yeah. So I guess it's not.
So do you believe that Kenyan President Ruto is the most corrupt president in the world?
No, that's the thing. I have no indicators. I have to remain. I'm very, very evidence driven.
Okay.
In the way I look at issues. So if I don't have the evidence, I'm sorry, I can't say it.
Okay.
What we know is that our African leaders and Nigerian ones are not exempted, are corrupt. How far that corruption goes, or how you compare that with other, maybe like Russia, I don't know, because we know that Putin is very corrupt. Was Putin the number 1? Because somebody was asking
Putin
who is the number 1 and 2. He's not even there.
And so you have calm down, brother. So
imagine.
So we have so we have Ruto first, and there's this guy who have second. Let me see if I have that number. Not Congo, but they even declined the number 1 person and went on to give the number 1 position to Al-Assad of Syria. So yes, we have a president, William Ruto, as number 1, former president of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, as number 2, and then we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as number 3. However, they substituted number 1 to Syrian Al-Assad.
I won't disbelieve them, but I'm just saying I would rather not form an opinion.
And then the president of Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, as number 4. Indians businessman Gautam Adani as
you know if it's true that the president's nephew Wale Tinubu has a refinery in Malta, and Nigeria is importing petrol from Malta into Nigeria, then you would understand why they see.
Okay, so some of the indices that they wrote down was the fact that they believed, from the report from People's Gazette, they did mention about the president wielding influence after being the governor of Lagos State, and amassing wealth from that trajectory, right? And they also did mention, I think another one they mentioned when he became president, excuse me, was the emergence of the Calabar Coastal Highway, and the fact that the manner in which it was given, and the fact that Sheikh Tinubu, according to them, that report, according to the paper that wrote it, that Sheikh Tinubu is being fingered as one of the beneficiaries, one of the executives of the company that is a beneficiary, and that's pure corruption to them. So that's what they say.
Those are the kind of things that people will look at and say, this man is corrupt.
So they looked at it from those ends, and then they also mentioned Chicago issue, both in results and drug.
That's the problem. So it's just conjecture, a story.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I hope I've answered that person's question. Anna Paul from Kuka. Hello, good evening and welcome. Hello. Yes, please. Welcome. Help me speak up a little bit more.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Thank you very well. Go ahead. Good evening. Welcome.
Yeah, this is Remy.
Remy, you're welcome. Remy, how are you?
Yeah.
Happy end of the year.
Fine. Well, same to you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, please.
Greetings to your guest.
He can hear you. Thank you.
The last sentence he made, he said, this is being said about Tinubu, mere conjectures. right? I think I heard him saying that.
Something like that. I mean, we can't really prove a lot of these things now.
So if I may ask you, sir, please tell me the school Tinubu attended, primary school. I'm asking you and the media.
They have said,
tell me factually,
his spokesman has told you that he did not go to school and is a great man as a result. That great men don't go to school. So which school are you looking for again?
I heard Festus saying that to back up. You know Festus for who he is. I'm asking the media now. The media has the information.
I hope Precious is not part of that media you're asking.
That's Precious you're asking.
For yourself, Remy.
Nigerians, the school our president attended, the primary school attended, even the university attended. The school told us they weren't the one who gave him the certificate he used, but he attended the school.
Remy, you like trouble. Remy, you like trouble.
These are facts. These are not conjectures. These are facts. So I'm trying to tell you something are not they are not mere conjectures. He forfeited money. He forfeited almost $500,000. That wasn't a mere conjecture.
I agree with you.
A plea bargain. A plea bargain means you admitted that you committed the crime. That is meaning of plea. You plea bargain.
Some lawyers would disagree with you on that.
They can disagree, but the fact remains the fact. What's the meaning of plea bargaining? Why were you okay? Okay, why did you forfeit a certain amount of money?
Hey, because it wasn't a plea bargain, it was a forfeiture.
Okay, sorry. Forfeiture rather. Maybe I mix it. Okay. Forfeiture.
Now go give me for English for you.
Hard-earned money.
And because the argument that the president's people have given on that is that sometimes you may decide to forfeit money when you look at the overall cost of pursuing your innocence. Like, I can prove this innocence,
but it go waste my time.
Too much money to waste my time
to make a kukuma
you should just take this one. Okay, take it. Don't worry. That's what they are saying.
You're still not convinced, Remy? We'll come and be going now if you're not convinced.
I should be the one asking you that. With those few points, are you guys not convinced that our president is corrupt? According to the report,
Remy,
I'm asking you.
Remy,
you're not convinced enough.
No, be me to answer that question.
What signs do you want to believe that he is corrupt? I'm asking you.
Oh yeah, Remy, I have to speak to another caller.
Okay, lastly, on the issue of refinery working, that few weeks ago we were told one of the refinery was working optimally. Only for us to be told a few days later that it wasn't as what they claimed it to be. Now they've told us another one is working, and they want us to go to the street and beating drums that Baba has done magic. All I would say to the Nigerians is just be calm. You can easily be pleased. Like the last caller said, he said we should be grateful to Tinubu. You can easily please Nigeria with little things. And we are mediocres, from to say. Pat ourselves in the back when people are still suffering out there. When subsidy was removed, macro and microeconomy felt it immediately. When subsidy on education was removed, every facet of our lives felt it. When that of electricity was removed, we felt it. Same as health. So you want me to be dancing on the street because refinery is not working, but I'm yet to feel the effect. Does it even make any sense?
Thank you, Remy. Thank you.
Very powerful point, actually.
Thank you.
I agree with him.
You agree with him?
Yeah, especially on that last point he made. Okay. When those things were done, we felt it.
But when these other things are happening,
we're not feeling it.
We see they find them.
Why are we celebrating?
Maybe it will take longer. The thing may be doing press up. Sorry, it may be. All right. Hello, good evening, and welcome. Hello. Are you there? All right, I go to my messages now. Amarachi Samuel from Ikeja says, Auntie P in the studio. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you for your prayers. And this is Precious. Good evening. Why can't your guest go and present all these points that he has said to government? When you catch him, Wachuku from Nigeria State.
They're listening now.
You don't give that bombastic side eye again. You just take time. You have to take your time. They give me bombastic side eyes.
Which one are you going to?
All right. Greetings to you, Precious, and your erudite analyst. He's great. I really appreciate his analysis. Precious, you are wonderful, and I pray to continue to hear from you. You mean come 2025. Keep on the good work. Thank you, Daniel from Agege. And this here says, good evening. I think I lost that. So let me go back to my calls. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, you're welcome, sir. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. We greet you, sir.
Thank you very much, the analyst today. that this is New Year. I think you people will play to president to reduce import duties and bring fuel down for the masses. If he do that two things, let him do whatever they like to do. We will not care. So
All right.
pressure,
Sir?
you owe me chicken.
Where would they get right the agreement?
You owe me chicken.
Where would they write the agreement? I owe you chicken.
Those people where you are giving chicken, you would break agreement.
No. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Well done. Thank you. All right. Nze Akam Richard from Emeka from Ikeja says Joe Ibukwe is just looking for relevance in President Tinubu's government. I haven't forgotten him since he attracted hatred and public opprobrium from his kinsmen on account of his insensitivity in the policy during the 2023 elections. Let him be informed now that the highest Tinubu's government will give him a special assistance on Nigerians' gutters and sewage carriers. Let him go and hide. You guys be coming down now.
Below the belt.
Kai, my people are not nice.
They're angry.
All right, Prepare. I don't know why these APC people should be the one giving themselves pass mark. Why not allow the citizens to be the one to do that? So Joe Ibukwe did not see all the Buhari did. Even the kindergarten can tell all of that. That's why they're still praising the present government and things are deteriorating. Everything is upside down. I pray that God should come to our rescue. Come 2025 in Jesus' name. Precious, my sister, I wish you happy birthday for your birthday tomorrow, and may all the desires of your heart be granted. Thank you. Many more prayers. I appreciate you. Hi, Precious. I think the legacy the man was talking about the reforms Tinubu introduced, which brought hardship to Nigeria. Tinubu did a reform on fuel subsidy that moved fuel from 195. Fuel was not 195 during Buhari. It wasn't 190. It was 180 something that we left fuel.
It was 197. 197.
No, but I was buying 180 something in some filling stations. So, Tinubu did a reform on the currency of Naira, moved from 460. You said a lot. You said Tinubu did a reform on electricity. Tinubu did a reform on food security, and the bag of rice jumped from 30k. A bag of rice was 35k. Tinubu did a reform on education sector, and now parents can't even send it. Did you notice that immediately this administration came into power, lots of tertiary institutions fees skyrocketed?
Yes. It was a deliberate policy.
Yeah. Tinubu did a reform on aviation sector, and tickets for local flights took like tickets for international flights.
Yeah.
And he said that Tinubu did a reform on customs and excise and import duties, and it grew to become more expensive than the cost of items being imported. That is, you pay more money to import than the actual goods that you're importing. Tinubu is now doing tax reform, and his spin doctors are telling him that this is in our interest. I just hope 2025 will not bring... What do you think the outcome of the tax reform will be on Nigerians?
I think for some Nigerians, it will be good because they will not be required to pay taxes. Unfortunately, the reality of that is that they are not paying taxes anyway, so nothing changes. At the end of the day, what this tax reform bill will do is to begin to increase taxes. VAT, value-added tax, is going to move up systematically every year. It's been approved. So this one is not conjecture now. Between now and the next 3 years, we're moving from the 7.5 we're at to 12.5. And then by, I think, 2030, or what's the year now, we'll go to 15%. You know, that value-added tax affects everybody because you buy one thing or the other that is VAT applicable. You know, so for me, the tax reform bill, if you look at it in its totality, is a good idea. But implementation is going to be challenging. And unfortunately, a lot of the policies that this government has implemented, the human face, looking at how it's going to affect the ordinary Nigerian, has not been their strength. So I don't know how they're going to balance it. But I'm not too enthusiastic about the impact it will have on people. But I think we need tax reforms because government is not generating enough revenues, sadly. We need to fix that.
Okay. But is it in the generation of revenue or in the leakages? That's what many would say.
Both of them.
So why can't we fix the leakages? Because if you increase the generation of revenue and you don't
then it leaks away.
speak
it's
on the
like
exactly.
water in a basket. I agree, but we need to generate revenues anyway. So we can do the two at the same time. We need to do.
But how do you even milk people who barely have? That's another question.
Yeah.
What have you put in place to ensure that you give them the job for which you will tax them for?
Fortunately, look, as far as income tax, payee, and all of that is concerned, most Nigerians will not be affected by this either way. They are not paying taxes now because the tax system is unable to capture them, and this new tax reform is giving them holiday. So nothing is a zero sum. Nothing is going to change as far as the average Nigerian is concerned with income tax and payee. The problem for me is VAT. That is going to affect the average Nigerian, and it's going to increase prices further over the next 3 years. So let's just hope that other indicators will get better that would, balance off the negative effect of this.
Okay. All right. Hello. Good evening and welcome.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, please. Good evening. Well, I still inside the day, my brother.
Hello?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I guess I like his analysis. So it's a very quality analysis.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
He's an economist indeed. He's an expert. He's professing people who want his CDN. Because I believe that this Cardoso is an economist. The way he's approaching matters. That is why we think like this. But the area I disagree with him is that things will be better next year. The farmers did not farm during planting season this year. They did not farm. I know that according to this budget, IGR will increase. So I don't know how, because when IGR increases, it will increase. The 34 trillion will be realized from IGR, internally generated revenue. 34 trillion. So it will, and they are at the same time, they increase the interest rate, saying that interest rate will bring down the inflation. How can interest rate of 35% bring down inflation? Interest rate will increase inflation. I don't understand the thing is scattering my head. And when I heard, I want the analyst to please remember my phone, Ben.
Hey, is this Ben from IBA?
Yeah, Ben from IBA.
Okay, Ben, I make an announcement to well-meaning Nigerians again. Please, tomorrow is my birthday, Nigerians. And the one gift you can give to me is if you have a good phone to create content that you can dash to Ben for me. He's visually challenged, but he wants to be creating content to make money. So that he's creating already. He said he has a very bad phone and his phone is giving him issue. So please, any kind of, even if it's the one that you're using, that you bought a new one and you want to, and the phone is in good condition and can help him create content, please dash him on my behalf. That's the good thing you do for me.
The one I want to buy itself, if I get some money, I can buy another one.
All right, thank you. I have announced there. Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. I've announced it. So the question he asked.
Well, the question he asked is, and he's correct. The more you hike NPR interest rates, eventually, instead of it bringing inflation down, it can actually make inflation worse.
I've had this analysis. Yes. I've had this picture where I tell someone, for instance, interest rate in South Africa may be like 18 or 9% thereabouts, and then I come to Nigeria where it is like 20-something% or 30-something% now in Nigeria, and I go to South Africa, I take a loan, and I come to Nigeria, I put it on one high yield income, whatever return, and 1 year or 2 years, depending on the actual date of the loan, I make my profit. I collect, I pay back South Africa. I collect my balance. It's a good business, and I've made money.
Potentially.
But is that not part of the dangers?
Potentially, depending on exchange rates. That's a very complex thing you just explained there, because the interaction of those two economies and the exchange rate differential is what is going to determine whether you make a profit or not.
Okay.
So it's not as straightforward as it sounds. It sounds, nice. But
okay.
It might not work out that way.
Okay.
So I think what Ben from IBA was saying is, as you continue to increase in interest rates, you are increasing, very importantly, the cost of borrowing for small businesses and, very crucially, manufacturers.
Oh, they were complaining the other day that this is the year that they had highest number of goods that they have produced that they could not sell.
Their inventory levels have grown, is out of control, right? And it's because these things are too expensive. Nigerians can't afford to buy them. So you are hurting growth, economic growth and development, and you could create a tailspin of inflationary pressure in addition to, even though you are mopping up money, because that's the objective of increasing interest rate, mop up money supply. But as you are doing that, you are starving people of badly needed credit, and you are making credit more expensive. So it's a balancing act that I think that the CBN is not getting right at the moment. So if a Ben can even see that, Ogaka do so, you need to do better.
Oh, okay. Going back to my messages, Precious, which one be Akpabi again now? I beg, go and rest. Go and rest. Good evening, VOP team. Thank God for the man with you in the studio. Is my tribe man, Miss Precious. Look at this headline. One custom command generated 634 billion naira in 1 year. Controller. Now the consumers are generating this money for customs because a businessman would always add the cost of importation to the goods, spread it to the consumer. So the president is not ready to make price and things in the market cheaper. That's what he's saying. This is from Ife from Irawa. All right. Precious, honestly, you are really doing a great job and have come a long way. And this your voice saying, Michael, oh yourself. Good evening, Precious. Happy birthday. Happy New Year in advance. My regards to your guest. He made my night so on point. I positioned him strategically. Look, I'm a mistress strategist. We know this, okay? All right. This says Nigerian problems are indeed self-inflicted, and addressing them requires a multifaceted approach. For 2025, I recommend that the Nigerian government adopts a citizen-centered focus, prioritizing the needs and well-being of its people. Tackle corruption head-on. Transparent fund management, reduce extravagant spending, citizen engagement and participation, and all the Aberdeen sent in that message. Do you agree with him, and do you see this happening?
Sorry. Corruption. I'm sorry.
Why is it corruption? You just answered me in all
because
of
that's the biggest one that I
So he said tackle corruption head-on,
Mm-hmm.
transparent fund management, reduce extravagant spending, citizen engagement and participation.
Yeah, I agree with him completely. But I think that we also need to de-emphasize this issue of cost of governance thing, because I think he's alluding to that. I think we're talking too much about it. It's not as important as we think it is. It's only important in terms of optics. Like, it doesn't look good for the president to be saying, we're all going to be making sacrifices, and then he's buying Escalade and he's buying jets. It doesn't look good. But if you combine the total cost, that budget, that inflated budget that we just talked about, total cost of the judiciary, National Assembly, and the executive combined is less than 2% of the entire budget. So cost of governance is not our problem. So the transparency part that he spoke about, transparent funds management, tackling corruption head-on, absolutely agree with him. I think it's something that this government will take on, but unfortunately, that should take on. But unfortunately, the president says he's not looking at corruption, the way we are looking at it. He believes that if you remove the reasons people are corrupt, then corruption will go away. I don't know where his philosophy is coming from, because it doesn't work like that in real societies. The only way corruption goes away is when people are afraid of consequence. It's not when they don't have a reason to be corrupt. Everybody, look, I don't know. Look, President Tinubu the man is stylishly falling my hand. Precious, do you remember that before the elections, I used to say, this man is intelligent, is this, even though I didn't necessarily support him, but I really believed in his intellectual prowess. But, how can he say that kind of thing, that if you remove the incentives for corruption or the reasons why people will stop being corrupt, that they will stop? No! People stop doing things in societies when there is consequence, when you are afraid that if they catch me, they will cut my head. Like in
so
China.
It serves as a deterrent to others.
Deterrence to others, and it's a deterrent to everybody to say, no, I will not be corrupt because there are consequences. So, Mr. President, no, it's not about creating student loans and creating consumer credit that you will stop our car loans, that you will stop corruption. No, if you create more car loans tomorrow and civil servant can steal and get away with it, they will take your car loan and they will still steal. So tackling corruption head-on, like this gentleman said, I think is absolutely critical. It's something that the president needs to reevaluate his approach on.
Okay. All right. Good evening, Precious, my sister. I wish you... Thank you. The man that... All right. Good evening, Precious. Your guest has some tribal tendencies in his analysis, and such makes him a Are you serious?
I've been waiting for that.
Please go and rest the belly. Please. Happy birthday to you in advance, my precious. Well done. Thank you, Mrs. Ugoma. Appreciate you. This VAT is already on stylishly, and money you transfer from your line, no matter how small, is charged at 50 naira. Okay. Thank you. That's what you said. And this says, well done for the good work. Please help announce. I'm Grace from Idumo. I'm an account graduate. I'm looking for a job. Grace from Idimo says she's looking for a job. She's an account graduate and she needs a job in case her destiny helper is listening to us, so that people should try and give Grace a job, so that Grace will leave me to
How
rest.
would they contact her?
You can. I can give you her details. I've copied her details here, so I can pass it on to you. Thank you. Okay, Grace, maybe your lucky day. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you're welcome, sir. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Kenji from Ijara.
Kehinde, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then, firstly, to four of us sincerely appreciate your job and your level of capacity on the job.
Thank you.
It's top notch.
Thank you.
So I've been listening for the entire 2024. But I've been calling and not getting through.
Hell, and today now go through. Oh, God, guest, help me give am bell for me now, bell. Hell. Thank you. You know, say my guest, I ring that bell for you. Eh? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I want to also appreciate the intellect of your guest today.
Thank you.
And then you really deliver and then make a lot of sense from what they have said.
Thank you.
So we are just looking forward that at least, just like what they have said, the advice that I want to give to people that they should just lower their expectation about this government, because as you said in Yoruba, that the money that's supposed to be good from Sunday, from what we have seen so far, somebody should just try and lower its expectation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you so much. So I go to YouTube where I have, they say you give me bombastic side eyes.
They saw it.
They saw it. They saw it. And blessing from YouTube. Okay, I see. Jude Jolie says, it's not easy, your precious, but God pass them. Happy New Year to you. Thank you. Celeste celebrates his beautiful precious. Enyi, you are welcome back today. I greet you especially. The man that says, if not be God, we won't have survived this year. You say, who if will be before God? Okay. And then Ikel says, Happy New Year. Thank you. Anne Maxwell says, this Ibukwe will never hide his face in shame for always talking out of sense. Please stop. Adedeji Latif says, Happy New Year. Blessing says, you don't need any passport or ID card. You just, I think, referring to exchange in other countries. Yeah. You just go to the bank and tell them what you need and buy your dollar or euro through your bank account. Shikina. And it says the Caribbean islands, as small as they are able to set their currency as Eastern Caribbean dollars to $1. I wish. Okay, Stella Winner says, okay, I see you. Malta is enjoying from importation. And that's what he says. Anne Maxwell says, Buhari that gave us fake rice pyramid. Tracy, yeah, I see you. Tracy said you give me bombastic aside eyes. Yeah. And Obi Dave says, enjoying my Xmas here. Thank you, Island of Gori, Gori Island. Enjoying my Xmas here in the southeast, here in Owerri. Come spend your money if you can. It's fun out here. No time for comments. You still shall find way comment, Abi. Hello, good evening and welcome. Hello, are you there? Good evening. All right, I'll go to some WhatsApp messages. Okay, good evening, Precious. Wishing Precious happy. Thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate. And this says, happy birthday to you, Precious. This your analyst is intelligent. He's a financial educator. I wish Mr. Taxman Mr. Taxman. Who is Mr. Taxman? Employs his services. Do you know anybody like that?
He's probably talking of either the president or Mr. Oyedele.
Okay. Meanwhile, I hope for a better 2025. I pray for everyone of us to survive the year as we survived the year 2024 in Jesus' name. Olatunji from Yanapaja. Amen. Thank you. And this here says, kindly forward to me Grace's details. Grace, I told you, it may be your lucky day. Okay, so, ouch, how do I get these details now? I'll find a way and I'll forward it to you. Thank you so much. I'm going to do that. I'll find a way to forward you her details. Good evening, Auntie Precious, and in advance to you. Your analysis is superb. I am Paul from Abidjan. Please, I want to get data analysis skill, but I cannot afford the class. I'm going to be coming down. Precious, happy birthday to you. Please, where do we hit for the celebration? Hit, Hit where? Let me go and hit the call. Hello, good evening and welcome.
Hello, Precious.
Sir?
Good evening.
Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Yeah. My name is Chris. I'm calling from Owerri.
Chris, you're welcome. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I like what you're doing there.
Thank you, sir.
And let me know. I don't have much to say. And I am not a member of any political
party.
Yeah. But this APC operation, they can never take us to anywhere. Because because these people, hello.
Yes, please. Go ahead. I can hear you.
Because I begin to wonder where they kept God's spirit in their body.
Sir?
Can you tell me where these people hide the God spirit in their body? Because anybody that have good reason and the meaning for this contest will not do the way the people are doing. We are tired, and I don't think they have anything to offer this contest.
Sorry, sir.
Nigeria.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Okay. That's about it. But before I get my guest to give me his parting shots, I've been thinking and reflecting, and I thought to, thank everyone and appreciate everyone for being a part of the show. I mean, this year has been a hell of a year for quite a number of us, but it still is, right? So, dear Nigerians, I would just like to say a very big thank you to you as we stand at the threshold of a new year. I am reminded of my roots and the responsibility that comes with being a Nigerian. As you all know, my name is Precious Inyi, and that name, I like it. And in case you do not know, in case you're new to this show, Inyi means friend, and I love to be your friend. I hail from Ndoki. Ndoki is an ethnic nationality cut across 3 states in Nigeria. They are in Oyibo local government area of River State, Okwa East local government of Abia State, and Etimekpo local government area of Akwa Ibom State. And we could trace our history to the old Benin Empire. That's where I come from. So you see. So as a journalist, radio and television host show, I have dedicated myself to shedding light on the issues that plague our society. It is our duty to hold those in power accountable and to amplify the voices of the marginalized. So for those of you that call me APC woman leader, well done. I hope you sleep well at night. As we bid farewell to 2024, a year that has been fraught with challenges for many of us. Look, it is not easy for us to leave our troubles and come before this microphone every time. As a matter of fact, there are many times I just wish I'm not coming in front of the microphone, but I just have to be here and do what I have to do. I'd like to urge all of us not to lose hope, because it's been tough. And even though Mr. Shokpito has told us that it may not be tougher than it already is, but we still can't have guarantee of the fact that it can be that tough. The road ahead may be uncertain, but we cannot afford to give up. We must continue to push for a better Nigeria. One that is just, equitable, and prosperous for all of us, irrespective of our tribe and religion. Yoruba, Bini, anywhere you come from, you're first a Nigerian. And our thoughts should be focusing on the good and welfare of that country we call our own first. As a matter of fact, so many of the people that that make us fight ourselves along tribal lines, some of them and their families hold other citizenship from other countries, but you and I have only this country to call ours, so we must take it very seriously. So as we step into 2025 tomorrow, which happens to be my birthday, let us make a collective commitment to be more active, more engaged, and more responsible citizens. And that is why I feel bitter when they say, oh, this president or this governor is a reflection of who I am. Because I know my personality. I know the integrity that I exude, and I don't pretend about it. So let's be that change with desire in our leaders. It can begin with us. If we're giving public funds to manage, let's be accountable for it. If you're in a place where you should be accountable, be accountable. We can start with that. Let us educate ourselves and others. If you hear something in this radio station today, please educate others. As a matter of fact, the people that you think that you're fighting may not really even like you to be educated, as a matter of fact. So the one job you can do is to try as much as you can. As you're enlightened, please use your local language to enlighten someone else around you. Let us participate in the democratic process and let us demand more from our leaders. Remember, that participation starts from primaries. Don't say, no, I'm not a politician. God forbid I cannot go. You have to join the process to beat the process. Unfortunately, that's how it is. We owe it to ourselves, our children, and our country to fight for a better future. Let us not be swayed by the divisive tactics of those who seek to exploit our differences. Let us stand united as one, under one flag. We can. Look, as a journalist, as I said, we know that this job can be very, very, very difficult. As I said earlier, it is our duty to hold those in power accountable and to amplify the voices of the marginalized. But I think I failed to say that I'm not naive to the challenges that comes with this work that I do. It can be very challenging. In Nigeria, being a journalist can be a very risky endeavor. We face arrest, intimidation, and the worst. You can find out from one of our colleagues, David Hundein, who's constantly on the run today. Yet we press on, driven by our commitment for a better Nigeria. If not for us, for the sake of our unborn generation. So we must not lose the steam. As we begin this new year, in a couple of hours, I pray that God bless Nigeria and guides us towards a brighter future. Happy New Year to all of you. Mr. Shokpito, would you like to give us a parting shot? Thank you.
Happy New Year to everybody. I think those words that you spoke were powerful.
Thank you, sir.
And I am not going to say anything to diminish that. I think it's important for us to just allow those beautiful, wonderful words to sink in. So I'll just say Happy New Year. Happy, wonderful 2025 to everybody. Please look out for yourself. Look out for your mental health. Don't allow yourself to get dragged down into despair and hopelessness. No matter how bad it is,